Have you ever heard the expression garbage in, garbage out? Its meaning is simple. What we put in us will eventually be what comes out. If we're watching trash on television, listening to junky music, and looking at questionable things on the internet, the atmosphere will become tainted. We either create an atmosphere for His presence or an atmosphere for evil. There is no gray area.
You may be saying, it's just music or it's just a movie. I'm not being affected by it. But the fact is, when we surround ourselves with junk, we create an atmosphere that it's easy for attacks from the enemy on our mind to be more likely. It may seem like it's not really harming anything, but I love how Karen Wheaton handled this with some of her students at the ramp. She told all of them that she had made brownies for them, and she passed them out, but what she didn't tell them was that she had used a little bit of dog poop in the mixture of the brownies. She told them not to eat until she had finished with her lesson, and she began to tell them about how compromising in some of these areas is very dangerous. She says that going to movies that use foul language, or especially things like GD, using the Lord's name in vain, listening to music that degrades women and glorifies drug abuse, how harmless it may seem, but in reality we should be offended by it. And then she told all of them about her little special ingredient in the brownies. There's only a little bit in there. That's kind of how sometimes we justify going to movies that have just a little bit of junk in it, or listening to music that we know is not godly music. Her point was loud and clear, that we should not eat brownies that are made with a little bit of dog poop any more than we should allow these kind of junky things into our lives and convince ourselves that it doesn't affect us.
The truth is, we can affect the atmosphere or it will affect us. Anything that is not lined up with Him can negatively affect the atmosphere around us. Allowing these things on a regular basis creates an environment where evil spirits can dwell, and while they can't force you to engage in sin, it does create a pathway for it. This is why it's important to set an atmosphere for God and maintain it. We are not telling you to stop going to movies or listening to music altogether. We are, however, cautioning against stuff that in no way glorifies God.
Take some time today to consider the stuff that maybe you've compromised with, and make it a point to change the atmosphere on these things from this point on. If that means you need to go through some of your CDs or some of your music and throw some of it out, then do that. Just make sure that you realize that God is worth the sacrifice. We love you guys. Check out the scriptures at the end of the blog, and we'll see you next time.